We can now render a list of posts on the screen of our posts index page, which is definitely good progress, but certainly we don't want to always have to use that API client Postman whenever we want to add a new post. Ideally, we're going to have that second page that a user can navigate to where they can see a form that they'll use to add a new post to the backend API. So in this section, we're going to start putting all that code together to add that feature. Let's do a little bit of a discussion on exactly how we're going to approach this. So first, as a reminder, we want this new screen to exist at the route posts/new. If I go to that route, I'm going to expect to see my form appear on the screen. Now, one thing I want to mention about this navigation route right here, when we implement this, that's when we're going to see a little bit of an issue come up in React Router, or a little bit of a bug. And that's the same bug that I'd mentioned previously that we were going to run into. So don't worry, I haven't forgotten about that. Yes, we're still going to see that little issue pop up, the one that I really expect you're going to run into on your own personal projects. Once a user goes to this page, they'll see a form appear on the screen where they can add the title, categories, contents, and then save the post or cancel and go back to the index page. So let's talk a little bit about exactly how we're going to approach this. We're going to start off by first scaffolding out our post new component. So I want to just have a component that just kind of says, hey, post new, here it is. And that's really just going to give us kind of a stub, somewhere we can start adding in some code to work with the component itself. After we put that together, we'll add some route configuration around it. So specifically a new route inside of our router that will show that post new component whenever a user goes to the path of post/new. Third, we need to add in the ability for a user to easily navigate between the index screen and the new screen. So of course they could always manually enter in the exact URL, but that's definitely not reasonable to expect a user to figure out. We really want to give them the ability to navigate between the screen that shows the list of posts and the screen where they can create a new post. And so we'll have to figure out how to somehow link between different pages at that point in time. Fourth, we're going to add our form to the post new component. So this will be the form that a user is going to enter text into. And then finally, once a user has entered information into that form and clicked the save button or submit or whatever we call it, we'll want to make sure that we have an action creator to actually save the post to our backend API. So steps 1 through 5, let's get started right now. First off, we're going to scaffold out the post new component. So inside of my code editor, I'm going to find my components directory and I'm going to make a new file called postnew.js. Then inside of here, we'll do our usual boilerplate. So we'll say import React and component from React. We'll define our component. So class postnew extends component. We'll put on our render function, which is just going to return some JSX for right now. And I think it'll just be a div that says post new. And then at the bottom, we'll export this component. Export default, excuse me. Okay, so there's our boilerplate. So that's step 1. We're now going to move on to step 2, where we're going to add in some route configuration. So we're always going to do the exact same thing whenever we attempt to add another component to our application. We're always going to add in another route. All the routes that we add will be placed inside of our top-level index.js file. So I'll open that up. Inside of here, I'm going to import the component that we just created right underneath the posts index line. So we'll say import posts new from components/posts new. And then down inside of the router configuration, we'll add in additional route. So route, whenever a user goes to the path/posts new, I want to show the component posts new. And close the tag off. There we go. Okay, so that is step number 2. We added in our route configuration. So now I really expect that if I go back to the browser and navigate to the route posts/new, I would expect to see the post new component appear on the screen. So let's test that out and see how we're doing. Back inside the browser, I'm going to go manually to localhost 8080/posts/new. And then once we get here, well, that's quite interesting. I do see the post new component that we just created, but I also see some of the markup from our index route as well. So this right here is the issue that I said was the very subtle bug that we had introduced with React Router. Essentially what's going on here is we are showing both the post index screen and the post new component as well. Again, this is a problem that I almost guarantee you will run into on your own personal projects. So let's take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and talk about exactly why we are seeing two components on the screen at the same time. So I'll see you in just a second.